Okay, guys. So let's start now. So today, last time actually we saw the if-else loop and how it looks resemble in the SM language. We covered some of the questions over there, like some question, basic questions, seeing those things in in the IDA Pro and checking like what that if-else is doing. And now thing is, I will be going to the loop instruction. Okay, so that was like left from the last class. So looping is something, as you might all know, like you already have the background in programming language. So I will just show you how a loop we can write it in a kind of in a Python language. So I'll just write while suppose I less than 5, and here I'm initializing the value of I to suppose 1. Okay, and then I'm checking like if I less than 5, then kind of print hello. And also thing is, I don't want this loop to be kind of a infinite loop. So that's why I am doing what I'm doing is uh, I plus equal to 1, so that the value get incremented after each count, and kind of once it's kind of a get exceeded from the like become 5, so the loop will break. Okay, so here thing is, you can see in a loop there are different parts. Okay, just a minute, why it is happening. One. Okay, so as you can see, there are different parts in this loop. Like here I'm initializing the data, here I am incrementing the value, here I am checking the condition if it is correct to again proceed with the loop, and here is the body of the loop where I am printing suppose hello. So I will run this program and kind of it will print me 4 times. Then last time when it went 5, it got exit from this loop. Okay, same thing we will see how this thing looks like in assembly language. Okay, let's go to that. So loop, for executing a loop, actually there are different ways to do that. One of the ways is kind of use a conditional jump, as you have seen. I'll just showcase that in over here. Once that can show you. So there's different ways. So I like kind of like if you are like kind of checking any instruction, and if it is like suppose equal to something, like here I'm checking like if I is equal to I less than 5, then I'm jumping from here to the line number 9 over here in this one. Okay, so that's how kind of you can do one of the thing. You can use conditional jump to kind of implement a loop. And the other thing is like actually there is a instruction called loop CC, where C again, both the C, you can again change the code and maybe make like change the flow of the loop instruction. So I'll just tell you how it works. So loop CC actually examine the ECX register. So ECX register is actually used for suppose like counting. So here like where in the code where I am doing like I equal to 1 and then changing it. So similarly in the same language, the ECX count will be like either increasing or decreasing, and then like based on that the loop instruction will work. Okay, so and now in the CC you can keep different parts like Z for 0, E for equal, and for not. Like similar for loop and Z, if I like in the CC I replace it with N and Z, so it will loop if the 0 flag is not set. Okay, it means loop if the 0 flag is not set with the NZ. Okay, and ECX is not 0. Okay, both the things will be checked over here. Similarly over here, if I just write loop, it will be like loop if ECX is not 0. So till the time ECX value is not 0, the loop will be going on, will be continuing. Okay, and this instruction actually also decrements the ECX automatically. So you don't have to write like dec ECX as assembly language instruction. This will do all the work for you. The single instruction will do multiple works. Okay, so we will see that in much more detail when I will be going to assembly language today. Okay, so now as I was showing you the Python language code for implementing a while loop, so as you have seen, there were like different kinds of initialization and control variable. So we'll go through that one by one in detail. So control variable, major component of a loop is like control variable. So control variable are the variable that are used to determine if a loop exists. Okay, and loop initialization is like where we did I equal to 1. Loop body is over here, the print hello is the loop body. Okay, so this is the code that will be executed every time when the loop is going on. Loop update, like suppose I did I equal to I plus 1. So that is I'm incrementing the loop. How the control variables are modified during each loop iteration. So like I plus equal to 1 is incrementing the value of I1 by 1. So that's I'm updating the loop. And a stopping condition. Stopping condition is like where I'm checking I is less than 5. Okay, I is less than 5. So that's one of the stopping condition. Okay, so now kind of let's go to that in much more detail in the how it looks in the assembly language. Okay.
Pragyan, can you give an example of a control variable?
Control variable is something like that are used to determine if a loop exists. So suppose I am kind of checking this loop over here. Okay, and I is equal to 1, and then I'm checking, okay, we are checking the I value over here. So that means I is the control variable. You got it?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and we initialize the value of I to 1. Okay, so
Got it.
yeah. Yeah, so now
Pragyan, in the last
yes.
class, you're explaining about where I is in the range of 0, 5. So in which section, whether it is control so can you explain that example? In which
Okay,
section all these parameters come?
okay, so you mean this one, I in range 0 comma 5, this one?
Yeah, Pragyan.
Okay, okay, so it's actually similar to while loop. The only thing is I is the control variable over here, and this is actually like changing the value. It is first time giving the I value as 0. It is the range is like 0 to 4, 0 1 to 3 4. The last value is not taken into consideration, so it's 0 to 4. And both the thing is actually, if I just change this to this, so now this block of code will be exactly as this block of code. Got it?
Yeah, Pragyan.
Yeah, so here in this one I am not kind of incrementing the value of all the things are done by this function range, where it is giving the value 0 1 2 3 4, and kind of so here thing is like you don't need a kind of a checking condition, because it's just running. This will actually run the loop. I have predefined that it will run only the loop actually five times, 0 to 4. But here I can maybe also change the value. I can do I equal to uh, I minus equal to 1. So maybe it will again kind of increment the loop, or maybe it will make the loop an infinite loop. So you can implement the same stuff over here, but this code is actually similar to this code, and it depends on like how you want to implement the loop. So loop can be executed by the for or while. So you can do whatever means you are comfortable with. Okay, so both the things are same actually. Okay, so if I again run,
Pragyan,
yes, please tell.
how it is knowing that it has to stop for 5? If it is range of 0 to 5,
Yeah, okay.
how it is excluding 5? We
Okay.
haven't defined it, right?
So thing is, this line actually works like that only. It has been coded like that. So whatever you give the value 0 and the 5, okay. So this will actually stop once the I value. So it will give, this function has been coded like that. So it will give I value 1 0, once 1, then 1 2, and once it is like 4, it will actually stop. You don't have to specify over here. It's both the things are taken into consideration by the compiler in the background over here. But here I am implementing the same stuff on my own. Got it?
Okay, Brikan.
Here
So
everything is, yeah,
for,
everything is, yes, please tell.
for 0 to n, it is like we will get the values until n minus 1.
Yes, yeah. But the loop will be executing till 0, from like till n time, because I'm starting from 0. Got it? I'm not starting from 1. So it will, so
Okay.
1, yeah, so 0 will be count as one of the things. So it will be actually n times, but it will be 0 to n minus 1. Okay. And so that's the thing. So that's
Since,
actually,
since
yeah.
it is 0, it won't get any value, like hello won't be printed.
No, it will be. I will be 0, and I will be 0. So it is actually less than 5. So it will print the value hello. Yeah. It's so what I'm telling is both this code are actually similar. Both are doing the same thing. Okay. So here I'm not checking the value. Here kind of like I value is 0, then 1. It is just completing the thing. till the I value is less than 5. Okay, so everything is coded in this line, and it will just print the hello 5 times. That's it.
If it is printing hello for I is equal to 0 as well, then
Yes,
hello has to be printed 5 times. But we
yes,
are
yes,
but
yeah.
in that case, hello is printed only 4 times.
No. It is actually printed 5 times. The thing is, I'll just remove this because I have to scroll the things below. I will remove this one. Okay, and let's see now. So it will be actually 5 times. Okay, just a minute. So I'll just scroll up, and you can see just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will be 5
Oh,
times. Got it?
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe because of that scrolling
Yeah, that's right. And the
happened. Yeah.
and the other thing is like even though it's not assembly language thing, in Python you can even like kind of tell how much to increment. So if I write 2, okay, so it will step 2 times. So if you see now, the value will be only 3 times. So it was first 0, then it was 0 plus 2, then it was 0, then it was something 2 plus 3, something like that, and it actually printed 3 times. So you can also control this thing, how much to increment by this step value. So there are 3 things over here: the initial, the final, and the step. So by default it is 1. Okay, and even thing is you can do a lot of other things, like if I want to decrement the thing, I can write 5, and then I can write maybe 2. So it will not decrement the stuff. It will start from 5 and it will decrement 1 by 1. So you can write print I, and then you can just see what's the value. So first it was 5, then it was 4, it was 3, and let's do it -2. So now let's see the value. So it is first 5 and then 3. So there are a lot of stuff in Python language, and it's a kind of function which like kind of handles all your thing, the initialization, counting, and all that stuff. Okay, got it?
And, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's go to the assembly language. Okay. So control variable are the variable determined by loop exists, loop initialization, loop body, loop update, stopping condition are done. And now let's see how this, let's see an example of assembly language, how the things are working over here. Okay. So in this, what happens in this part of code, what is happening is the default value of EX, the initial value of EX was actually 1000. Okay, was actually 1000. And let's go through the code one by one and let's see what this code is doing. And then there is some CL variable, which value is now blank as of now. And let's see what it is doing. So first thing is in the first instruction, it is LEA EAX plus 1. Okay, so it is kind of it is doing EX plus 1. It is storing the uh, address 1001 in the EDX. Okay, over here in the first line. So let's see. So it will be somewhat complicated, but I'm trying to explain you in a ease term. So actually there is an array and there is a string. Okay, the string is ABC, and as you know, every string in kind of a C language, when you do so, it also has a null value to tell the compiler that okay, kind of the string is only of 3 characters like A, B, and C, and this is the final character that tells okay, the string function has been stopped. Okay, so now the thing is, thus A is stored in the 1000, B is stored in 1001, C is stored in 1002, and the null value is stored in 1003. Okay, so EAX is first having the address 1000 over here. Okay, that's what I have written over here, and CL variable is kind of a blank. And what I am doing is, what the assembly language is doing is, EDX, it is loading the effective address of EX plus 1. So EX was holding 1000. So the EDX is now holding 1001 over here. So EDX is pointing to the second character and EAX is pointing to the first character. Okay. Now it is telling move CL EAX. So EAX, what's the value? EX value is 1000. So the value in 1000 is A. So I am moving the A value in the CL. So that's what you see in the second line, that the EX value, CL value is A, and over here the EDX is now 1001 and EX is also now 1001. Okay, And this 1001 was because I have added this thing over here, add ex comma 1. So that's why the instruction, the value of ex for changed from 1000 to 1001. Okay, and then I am checking if CL, it is, I'm doing an AND operation of CL and CL, and the reason is because, so as you might recall, the test will actually do a AND. So if I do a flag AND 41 with 41, the answer will be non-zero. Okay, non-zero. So that means, and if I do the, if the, suppose the CL value is null, that is 0 0, so if I do that, the 0 flag will be set to 0. Okay, so here now it is checking if J and Z, if 0, either 0 flag is not set, then it is again jumping to the 401043, this line, and then it is again kind of moving the thing, and it is moving again the next value to the next value B to the CL, similarly like this. And what is happening is now the EX value has been is incrementing one by one. Okay, because of this loop over here. And at the last point, what I am doing, what the assembly language is doing, is it is subtracting EAX minus EDX. So EAX was 1004, EDX value was limited to 1001. So if I do a minus, the value will be 3. And now I got the length of this string ABC, that is 3. Okay, so actually this code is actually the code of inside of a strlen function. Okay, so if I do something over here, if I, in this Python language, if I use the function, suppose print len of string ABC, so it will actually give me 3, the value of the length of this string ABC. Okay, so similar thing is over here, doing over here. It is actually kind of counting what's the length. Okay, so so here I have written just len ABC, but there are a lot of things that is happening inside, like kind of setting up the loop and then counting the integer one, the characters one by one. Okay, so that's what you are seeing over here. So what I will do is I will give you 1 minute time, just understand this code and kind of let me know if you are comfortable now with this line, with this assembly block of code, and any questions for that.
Pragya, the test statement, the
Yes.
test condition, is that is setting up a flag, right? Which is
Yes.
being checked in the next step.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So it is actually doing the AND operation,
Yeah.
and kind of if the value is kind of a 0, then it is setting the 0 flag to be 1. Just remember that. If the so it is somewhat confusing to hear that, but thing is, if the AND condition turns out to be 0, so test is a kind of a implied and is doing a, if the AND value is 0, then it sets the flag 0 flag as 1. So that's why I'm checking if the 0 flag is not set, then I'm again jumping to this loop. But when I will be touching this null character, so the AND operation over here will set the flag to be 1, and then it won't jump to this thing, and it will exit and kind of start executing sequentially, and it will execute the 40104C code, that is subtract EX minus EDX, and this will actually give me the length of the string now. Okay.
Okay, so basically, only if the result of the AND operation is 0, the second statement, the J and jump not 0 will be executed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So what will happen is, like, for the first 3 characters, the AND, the 0 flag will be 0, and kind of it will jump to here. So it is somewhat complicated to listen that 0 flag is 0 and then it is jumping, 0 flag is 1 and it is jumping, but it works like that. If the 0 flag is 1, so jump not 0 will jump. If the if 0 flag is, I'm also getting confused actually. So thing is, yeah, so 0 flag will be set to 1 only when the AND condition of this will be 0. Okay, and then it will jump to this line. Okay, this will be much more clear when I will like kind of running the code, as I've told that one of the pending item is to show you the flag thing. So I'll be doing that, and kind of then it will be much more clear how this thing is. So any questions still now in this block of code, how this code is working?
Pragya,
Yes.
like for move CL comma brackets EAX.
Yes.
So once this code is done, then the value of EAX will be A. So A is moving to CL. So can we consider in that way?
No, so thing is, see, EAX is actually holding the address, okay, the 1000.
Okay.
And
Okay.
this bracket actually telling me it is doing a dereference. It is, as I told, it is doing a dereference. It is taking the value that is residing at 1000. Okay, that was A, and then it is moving to the CL. Okay, that's what you are seeing over here. CL is now holding A, then it is holding B, then it is holding C. Because after this instruction, there is an addition of 1 in the EX. So when the EX will be pointing to 1001, so the value will going to the CL will be B. So it's work like that. Got it?
Yeah, brother.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm moving now to the next part. Okay. Now. I hope this is clear now. Okay. So let's go to the next part. Okay, guys. So as I showcased you in the Python code for and while loop in a for, actually, so normally what we do is like for, we do an initialize and then we have a stopping condition and then we do an update and then there is a block of code that needs to be executed. And similar thing happens for a while. So over there in Python, I wrote that in some kind of a different way, but I think that this thing will also work. So let's do that. For I equal to 0 and comma I less than 5, I plus plus. Let's see, because this syntax is actually of C language, but I'm just checking if this works in kind of in Python. Yeah, okay. Let's give this a semicolon. Let's see if it works. Yeah, okay. So this syntax actually of a C language, it's not a Python. Okay, Python normally you can either implement a for loop using this or the while loop that I showcased you guys. Okay, so normally in C language the for loop looks like this. We initialize the value where like I equal to 0, stopping condition I less than 5, and then I plus plus, and then there is a block of code that will be executed based on if the condition, if the loop is will be executing or not. And similarly for while, we do initialization, we check if the condition is true, and here we do a update of control variable. Okay, this is how the only minor difference between a for and while loop. Okay, now let's see how this thing will be looking up in the assembly language. So okay, so now for the for loop, so this is the initialization a equal to 0. So what is happening over here, you can see there is a label start, okay, and it is moving the 0 value to a EAX value. Okay, it is just like this. It's a very simple instruction, moving 0 to EAX. Okay, let's see the next line. Yes.
Basically, EAX is a control variable.
Yes. Yeah, correct. Yeah, you can tell like that. Yes. So yeah, correct. So let's see, a equal to 0, it is moving the 0 value to the EAX. Then it is a less than 5. What it is doing, it is again setting up a label, check if it stop. It is comparing the EAX with 5, and kind of then it is if jump not lower means if the EX value has exceeded jump not lower, then it will go to the end label. So end label is, you can see over here, end label. It will not execute block 1 and this one, and it will directly go to the end loop, and it will kind of continue the same thing, the sequential instruction after the for loop. Okay, and now over here the update thing, a equal to a plus 1. Let's see that how it is happening. So add EX plus 1, we are incrementing the value, and then it is checking jump, check if it stop. Now it is jumping to the label, check if it stop. So let's go to check if it stop. Over it is checking if the value is less than 5 after incrementing. If it is not, then it is kind of executing this block of block 1, that is the first code block, and then it is again checking the value if it is like exceeding. Now if it, like, suppose the value of EX after adding 1 is 5, so it will go to this label again, and it will check jump not lower. It will directly jump from here to the end label, and it will continue start executing the sequential instruction. So any questions till now in this for loop, how this thing will resemble in kind of assembly language? I hope this is very easy to understand.
Yeah, brilliant. Got it. Just one thing, what exactly are these labels? Check if stop.
Okay, so thing is, label actually means is like suppose thing is actually in the assembly language, most of the time it won't be a label, but it will be something like this move EAX will have suppose a offset called, like suppose a line number, you just take it for thing that move ex is suppose on the line number 1, and compare eax is suppose on the line number 2. So here it will be like jump 2. So that means here it will be like jumping to the second line of instruction.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. Check if stop is something like what is happening. IDA Pro or something will be like setting up it for you so that it is very easy to understand. Okay, it is a kind of a label, and it is so both the offset, the check if stop will also be showing as a 2 line number, and compare will also show as line number 2. Okay, so IDA Pro will do something for your to ease your analysis, and it's just kind of a label where it is like jumping to this offset value, compare ex. Check if stop is nothing kind of that is was written in the code. It is something which is mostly written by assembly languages to kind of make the analysis somewhat easier for you. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go now. I hope it's clear, right? The for loop. I'm going now to the while loop, how to see how it looks in the assembly language. Okay. So let's see over here. Sorry for that. Okay, so here again, I am initializing the value. Similar thing, start label, move ex 0 value. Then here is a less than 5. So again, the same thing, comparison kind of a is less than 5. Okay, so here it is like changing the instruction like jump if greater than equal to. So 5 is something. So even if the a value is 5, it will be exiting from this loop. So that's why it is written jump if greater than equal to. Both the thing it is checking, greater than and equal to. Okay, and then jumping to the end level. Okay, and then it is here it is like the code block that will be executed, and a equal to a plus 1, where it is again like kind of adding the instruction and jumping to the this level. So here the flow is almost similar to the for loop that we saw. So any questions till now in any of this, like for and while, anything that you are not understanding?
Which JGE plugin?
So JGE, just let's divide this. J is jump, G is greater than, and E is equal. Okay, so
Got
jump. So A less than 5, A less than 5. So here A less than 5. Okay, here it is checking. So A less than 5 was a checking thing that was going there, and what is checking is JJE. That means if A is greater than equal to 5, because if even if the value of a is 5, it should, the loop should break. Okay, that's why it's checking if the value of a is greater than equal to 5. Even if the value is 5, it will like kind of a jump out of the loop. Okay, so that's the thing happening over here.
Oh,
Clear, right, to both of you?
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Pragyan.
Okay, great. Yes, I did. So now normally like where like whenever you're seeing any malware and kind of where you will normally see a loop instruction, there are a lot of scenarios. So one of the scenario is like port scanning. Suppose there is a malware and kind of it is doing a port scanning. Like obviously it will do a port scanning, means it will start from suppose port number 1, then it will go to port number 2, and similarly it will scan all the ports if any of the port is open. Okay, so what it will do, it will obviously implement a loop to increment the value number of the port, and it will scan each other port. That's where you can see like this one of the scenario where loop will be implemented by a malware. Okay, then again to encrypt or decrypt. So suppose you have 1 GB of data and you want to encrypt that. So you won't do it, the malware won't do the malware or any code won't do it in one go. It will kind of a like split the data, like 1 GB of data into, let's suppose 1 MB of data, and it will encrypt the 1 MB of block one by one. So that's where you can even see the loop even in the decrypt function. And even most of the time in a DDoS attack we see DDoS attack, what is happening is like it's kind of a continuous. I hope you guys already might be aware of DDoS attack. So where like a huge amount of fake packets are sent to a server, and the server is confused like what to serve. They need to serve the fake packet or the actual packet of a client? And what happened, the load of the server get increased, and it's most of the time it get hanged, and that's where the website becomes down. So that's what was on DDoS attack. So over there again, what I will do is like kind of I will ping the Google, and I will what I can do is like I will ping the Google, and then I will like run an infinite loop that just start pinging the Google at like hell lot of packets, just send it to Google. And what I will do is it won't affect the Google. It won't maybe change it won't maybe let the server down of Google. But what I can do is now if I have an army of computer that I've hacked, maybe let's suppose I have hacked suppose 5,000 computers. What I will do is like I will tell every 5,000 computer to ping Google. very aggressively. Okay, so now 5,000 computer ping packet will be going to Google, and maybe like kind of it might slow down the server of Google. Okay, so that's what DDoS attack is. So that's where again I will use a loop. And similarly, one of the scenarios is logging the keystroke. So suppose I'm having a malware, I have written a malware which is recording all the key that you're pressing on the keyboard. So obviously it will be on loop, and it will like check every time like what the button is pressed. It's not like one time instruction, but it's a looping instruction where it will always check what the keyword is pressed and just noting it down. Suppose I'm typing the password, it will note down my password and just send it to me by email. Okay, so that's the scenario where malware will actually use the loop instruction. So any questions in that, in these scenarios?
How are we looping, Pragyan, to log keystrokes? I got it for DDoS, but I didn't get it for keystrokes.
Okay, log keystroke, what I will suppose the malware will do is actually kind of, it will always time, like suppose for every 0.05 second, it will always time kind of poll the keyboard inputs and will check if any input is coming from the keyboard. Okay.
Okay, okay. So basically, the control variable will be the keyboard input, and the interval will be the time that we are giving.
Yes. Yeah, kind of. And it will always time see an average 0.05 second if the user has pressed any key, and it will just log it and kind of just write in a text file and send it to the malware attacker. Okay.
Oh,
Okay, got it. Let's go now. So now we have a good exercise. So there is a loop thing that is implemented at this kind of offset, and I just guys, you want to like, I want to know that okay, let's solve these questions from 1 to 5, and the sixth one you can take it like in later course. Let's try in how like investigate that, investigate in your free time. Okay, so today I'll be doing it from 1 to 5. So let us start from the first part. Identify address and instruction of stopping condition. Okay, that's the first question. So we have to see where the stopping condition is. So let's recall what the stopping condition was first. So stopping condition is something where I'm just comparing something. Okay, so over here the stopping condition is comparison and then exiting from the loop. So that's one of the things that we have to see. If there is a loop in this particular offset, around this particular offset, and then seeing where the noting down the address of the instruction where it is stopping the loop. So let's go quickly to the IDA Pro and let's jump to 40385A. So to do that, what I will do is kind of this here, I'll press G button and then I'll write 40385A. And here I am. Okay, so this is one of the block of code that we have to kind of see how the loop is implemented over here. So to get a much more better idea, let's press space and see the graph over here. And so anywhere you can see in this screen that you're seeing, anywhere you're seeing any loop instruction that is over there.
compare, Pragyan, where
Yeah, my question exactly is kind of like anywhere you're seeing any arrows or something where you're seeing, okay, there is some kind of a loop that is going. Can you see that?
yeah, there we can see the loop.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the easy way actually, as I told, that jump not zero is actually you will get if and else, kind of an if and else. So if it is correct, it will go to the green one. And if it is red, it is going to the no condition. Okay. But this blue line is showing me this bold blue line is actually showing me the loop instruction. If you see from here, the control is again jumping to the 40C884. Okay. So this is a loop that is implemented. So that's IDA Pro is actually kind of analyzing the assembly code and is giving a very easy way to see where the loops are. So here I can see the loop that is implemented. It is jumping continuously, like kind of following this code. And if something is not there, if this condition was kind of a no, then it will jump to this code of block and then it will exit from the loop. And if the condition is yes, it will go to this and then again kind of just implement the loop. Okay, so let's see where the thing is, where it is exiting from the loop. Okay, so let's go again over here and let's see. So it was 4058A. So here it is comparing something, it is comparing the value to the 0DH, some value over here. And if the value is suppose equal, then it is jump not 0, then it is jump not 0, then it is jumping to 40C at 33. So it is over here, 40C at 33, and it is again incrementing the value of EX over here. Okay, so 40C at 3, let's see if there is something again. So you guys are also analyzing. Can you just tell over here where the stopping condition you are seeing? Where you're seeing the stopping condition? Can you just see from the code and tell me?
The compare condition, Pragya.
Okay, comparison, it is doing, it is comparing something with 0D. There's a hex value of 0D and is comparing the value of EX with that. And normally, and then it is like kind of a jump not 0. If it is, if the 0 flag is not set, then it is going to this, it is incrementing the value. And if it is set, it is executing this instruction, the below instruction, from move to calling a function, and then it is jumping to 40C889. Okay, so just a minute, it's pretty somewhat complex to understand this. Okay, so yeah, so this is one of the thing where we are seeing the loop is actually like it is incrementing the value, and then it is comparing the thing with 0DH, and kind of if the jump not 0 flag is fine, jump not 0 if it is yes, so it will jump again to this loop, it will increase the EAX, and then I think again it will be kind of, so once the increase EAX has been done, so again it is actually it is again comparing the value of the value in the EX with 0. And if it is like jump not 0, it is again jumping from here 85A to this part, okay, or to over here. So actually, what I guess is like a looping, the stopping condition is actually over here, because it is incrementing the EAX, it is checking if this thing is fine, and if it is not there, it is again jumping to the 40C85A. Are you getting the thing that I'm telling over here, where the the stopping condition might be? Okay, so after increasing the value, as you can see, there is nothing to jump to again to the back thing. Okay, so in this part of code, it is jumping over here. It is jumping to, it is comparing the thing, and then it is, if it is not 0, it is again like jumping to the 40C85A. And if it was, so it will go back and it will kind of start executing this below line of code over here. Okay, so that's where I think, I guess like, okay, this is where the stopping condition is of the kind of the loop, and this is kind of updating the control variable, and this is like kind of checking the control variable and then is stopping over here. So is it clear now somewhat?
Yeah.
So if it is jump not 0, it will execute above line of code. If it is jump z, I mean,
yeah, if it was,
if the condition is true, it will execute above line of code. If it is false, it will execute below line of code.
Yeah, the below line of code, it will be mean the 40C889, right? And if it is worse, it will again jump to 40C85A, this line of code. So it's kind of a loop over here. Okay, so this is one of the stopping condition that is we can see over here. Okay, got it?
Yeah, Pragyan, and can you go a little bit up, Pragyan?
Yeah.
So
okay.
Here in XAMPP conditions, we are having another XAMPP 0 as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is loop in loop.
Yeah, kind of. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Loop in loop. And also thing is we are increasing the EAX. Okay. EAX over here. But this thing is not exiting from the loop. Okay. So we can't tell this is a stopping condition because we are jumping from here to here. We are doing the increment of EX to 1. But again, like the stopping condition is actually over here, where it is again kind of jumping either to here or just exiting and kind of doing the code analysis below. Okay. So over here, obviously something is happening over here where it is like kind of a jumping from here to here and incrementing the value. Okay. And kind of so we need to invest some more time, like what these codes are doing. But for the sake of the answer of the question, okay, that we are like searching where the stopping condition are. So actually here the stopping condition is where it is like increasing the value, comparing it, And then if it is yes, jumping again back. If it is no, it is exiting and kind of just executing the below instruction. Got it right?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's see that if we were correct. I have noted down the answers too when I was going through this. Okay, we'll see. Okay, let's see that. Yeah. So yeah, 40C884. Let's see. C884. Yes. So we were correct actually. So this is what I was doing, like checking the answers previously, and I have just noted down just to cross check if I'm not wrong this time. So here, yeah, the stopping condition is being evaluated at 40C884 where it is comparing, and the jump to the start of the loop, here it is jumping to the again to the 40C85A. Okay, so this is a stopping condition over here. Okay, so let's go back to the second question. Identify address and instruction that updates control variable. So I think it's very clear to all of you where it is updating the control instruction. Can you tell me the offset now? Where it is updating the control instruction?
Uh, ECX is the control variable, right?
Pardon?
No,
Which one? Yeah, EX. Yeah,
yeah,
EX.
increase EX.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the line where the update is happening, increase EX. Okay. So let's again, I'll just quickly cross check that. Yeah. So it is 40C833 increase EX. Okay. So now let's go to third question. Identify address and instruction of loop initialization. We have to see like where this loop was initialized. Okay. So where this loop was initialized. So obviously it will be initialized, I think, before the loop is executing normally, where the value of EX will be initialized. So let's see that. So above the loop, actually, we are seeing something like some strlen function has been called. And then what is happening is that in the EX, the value of ECX is being added. Okay. So normally I will say over this part of code, the value of the EX is getting initialized, and then something is happening in this loop instruction. Okay. And let's see that. 40 move byte EX 0. Let's check that out. And for the instruction on loop initialization. So let's go to yeah. Okay. So this is where for add EX, ECX, move EBX here. So this is where the loop was initialized. So let's go over here and you can see this is the instruction over here. So here the EX value was actually kind of like changed to something. Here it is like kind of maybe this function is returning some value and like we are adding something to the EX. So that's where the initialization is happening on the EX, and this is the control variable, and then we are checking and jumping around the loop with the help of this scrolling over the EX value. So this is the part where the initialization happened of that EX variable. So any questions in that, in this part of question?
No, Prabhu.
Okay. 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 So let's go to the fourth part. No?
Pragyan,
Yes.
can you just go back, Pragyan?
Yes. Yes.
No, I mean in the code, yeah. So here it is
Okay.
adding, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So here it is adding ECX to EAX, and
Yes.
the value is stored in EAX, and
Yes.
from there it is moving EAX value to EBX,
Yeah.
and
So
then
that
it is
jumping to 40. So here we don't have to kind of worry about this instruction, the move,
okay.
because the value of EX is not changing over here. It is just storing in EBX, maybe just to like not lose the original variable, because the EX lot of thing is going on. It is incrementing and decrementing. Okay. That's why to save the old value of EX, it is saving that in the EX. And I guess like maybe once this loop is over, maybe it is again is storing the value of the old value of from the EBX to the EX. That might happen. So normally what happens when you're going inside a loop, you don't want to lose the old value. So you store that old value in some other register, and then you just increment the thing. And once that is done, you again restore the old value back to the EX. Okay.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry. Yes. So we don't have to worry about this instruction. And the only instruction that we see is the EAX over here, where the value is getting initialized, like setting the value of EC, adding something to the EAX, and then the loop is going over here. Okay, got it?
And that jump
Yeah,
for 40C884 is incrementing EAX, right?
yeah. Let's see that. 40C884.
It's
Ah, yeah.
comparing.
Comparing the thing. Yes, comparing
Okay.
the thing, and then it is like going over here. Yeah,
Going back to the
loop.
going
Yes.
back to another comparison.
Yeah,
Yeah,
going again to the loop, and then like kind of a checking the things over here. Okay, so what is happening is like when
yeah.
so the initial value, so what will happen is like, so it's now a bit more clear to tell you guys. So what is happening over here, while I is equal to, while, so just see from here. So suppose this was a C instruction. I wrote while I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. So what is happening is like, this is the control instruction, that is like, this is the update instruction, I plus plus. 0 is will be first time checked with the 5, this thing. It won't be like after 0 the I plus plus will be done and then it will be checked. The first time it will be always direct. It will check what's the initial value and what's the checking that has been done. Okay, and then it will exit. So that is what happening over here. It is first kind of initializing the value over here, the EAX, and then directly comparing that thing if the loop is correct with that 0 thing. Okay, and then it is jumping to the next thing, and then it is incrementing the value one by one, and then the loop is going on. Is it clear now what I mean to say? That the first time the initial value is first time compared with the thing, and if it is not, if it is fine, then fine, then a loop will go and it will always increment the instruction one by one. It's clear now, right?
Yeah, Pragyan.
Okay, great. Okay. So let's go now. So find the identify address range for loop body. So now we have to see like what the loop body is and kind of tell like what's the code of block that is executed. So let's go to that 40C85A, that is where the loop is starting. And over here, so can you guess where the loop of the body, what is happening inside this loop? We know now where it is initialized, where it is stopping and all that stuff. And what's the loop of the body, like where the instructions are kind of executed every time. Okay. So any guesses?
I didn't understand the questions again. What exactly do you do?
Okay. So thing is, for every loop, there will be a code block that will be executed. Like suppose there are 5 lines inside the loop that will be executed multiple times. So the question is to tell what's the starting address range and the last address range of that code block that will be executed multiple times if the loop get executed multiple times. I mean to say that.
Okay, so it
Oh,
will start from the first compare instruction
yes. Okay.
and it will go till, can you scroll down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Till the last, till this part, JNG.
This part.
Yeah.
GNG will not be counted actually in the body of the loop, okay, because it is like jumping to that loop, okay, and the body of the loop actually mean what code is executing inside the loop, okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so normally it might be maybe till this part. Okay, what I will do is I will quickly press a space bar and let's see that. Just a minute. So let's go to this part and clean over here. So this is where I am, and it is jumping to this part, and then it is executing this instruction one by one. Okay, so if you see the increase has been done, it is going to this one, and this code has been executed. Okay, like if the loop is executed first time, and then it is like checking the thing, and then it is exiting from the loop over here, and then it is scrolling down and then exiting from the loop. So maybe thing is the body of the loop is only this part, because this is the one that is getting executed normally, because this is checking the instructions and all. Okay, and okay. So what I am checking over here, like maybe this is the part that is like kind of the loop body is, because over here it is jumping out from the loop. As you can see, it is jumping out from the loop, the red part. Okay. And here it is comparing the thing, it is increasing the thing. And this is the block of code that is executed always when the loop is kind of executed. And so we can guess like maybe this is the body of the loop. Okay. So any guesses from you guys? Just by seeing the graph, what can be the body of loop over here? I know it's somewhat pretty complex, so just a pretty small guess will be fine now. And then we'll like scroll through the answers and we'll see that in much more detail.
The one which is inside this blue line, so that is the block of code.
This one you mean?
No, complete.
Pragyan, basically, block of the body of the loop will be what exactly we are doing in the loop after checking the conditions. So once
Inside the loop. Yes, inside the loop. Yes.
Yeah. So once the compare condition in the first block has been met, it is going to the second block. So it should be the second one technically.
Definitely right.
Yeah.
Mostly it will be this one. If the loop is jumping, it is executing maybe suppose this one, right?
Yeah.
Over here. Yeah. Okay. So let's see that. Let's cross check with the answers and then it will be much more clear. So find the address of the loop. Okay. So let's see that quickly. Okay. Okay, so normally what I have done is I have not noted down the answer, but just seeing from the graph, we can kind of guess that, okay, this might be the body of the loop that is getting executed, okay, over here. Okay, so if we see the address range, it is normally 85A and 85D, something like this, okay. So, yeah.
Pragyan, once you can go to the flow of the graph.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got why we are saying that the second block of code is the body of the loop, but why can't we consider the blocks after that block also as the body of the code? Because we are not checking any condition, right? The condition is getting checked in the first block. So after that, we are performing all the operations in the block, the three blocks after that, right?
So yeah, what is happening is like when the condition is kind of true, it is in increasing the instruction, it is increasing the value of EAX and then jumping to this loop over here. Okay. And thing is, if the condition is wrong, it is going to this code of block and then it is kind of exiting from this loop over here. Okay. So maybe we can also count this one because maybe inside this loop, maybe this is also one of the code of block that is kind of getting executed at least once in a while. Okay. So maybe we can also count this one inside the loop over here. Okay. So this is something we will see that in much more detail. I think we need to give much more time over here, like what we can count in the body of the loop. But normally, yeah, overall we can say, okay, this is where the comparison is happening. Should we go inside the loop or not? This is where the control update instruction is, and this is maybe we can tell this code of block and this code of block as one of the like maybe the part of the loop over here. Okay, and once that is done, it is kind of exiting from the loop over here. So it's somewhat pretty complex, but let's see that. Okay, what does loop do? Okay. Okay, guys. Okay. Okay, guys. So what I will do is like I will go to this two questions maybe again next time. But normally to just cross check, like if our assumption is correct that maybe only this part of the code block and this part of the code block is actually correct. But normally we can see that loop instruction is going on. So yeah, as you also guess, like maybe this part and this part we can maybe count it as inside the loop. Okay. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, Pragya.
Yeah. So normally our objective maybe once was like, okay, let's see where the loop is being exited, where the loop is getting incremented, and where the loop is being initialized, and to see where the loop is kind of going through over here. Okay. So let's go over here. So let's take this. So loop, what does a loop do? So if we kind of check this over here, what does a loop does? If we count this thing, so maybe it is kind of also calling the strlen function. It is like comparing some string, and then it is like that length of the string is kind of stored inside the ex value. So we can guess by seeing this two code of block that, okay, the strlen function is called, and then we kind of like just get seeing the value of that ex, and then we are jumping to some other offset over here. So it's somewhat pretty much complex, but my objective over here was to kind of just give an overall idea like how the loop works in assembly language, and where we can see the starting condition, the update condition, and kind of the initialization condition of the loop. Okay, so any questions, guys, till now?
No Pragya.
Okay. So what will happen is like there are a lot of other instructions, and the looping thing will be much more clear like when we'll see that on different kind of on different kind of functions how the loop is getting implemented. Okay, so let's go now over here. Okay, guys. So now there's one thing like I have one more function that is 4026A7. And why I have picked this is actually because of the complex condition based instruction that you will be seeing in this part of code, in this code block. And what I mean by this complex condition, it will be very, very much clear now. Okay. So normally what we were doing is till now we were just doing x less than 4 and kind of executing the block of code. Okay, but you might know that there you can write the if else condition in a much more complex way, where you can write, okay, x less than 4 and x greater than 1, something like this, and then if it is both the things are true, then kind of execute the block of code. So till now we were saying something very easy one where we're doing just one comparison, but there will be instruction where there are two comparison. How to know that? If it is an and condition, it can also be a or condition. To how to know that? Okay, so we'll see now this thing, how we can kind of also kind of seeing the assembly language, how we can guess, okay, if it is just a simple expression or it is a compound expression. So we'll see that now. And what I will do is I will just take a 2 minutes break, and then I will like continue with this one. Okay, in the meantime, if you just any question, just let me know. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, sure. Okay, guys, so we'll continue. Okay, so one of the thing actually I'll just will go to this one.
Pragya, just one thing. The functions that we are seeing, these are all part of the WinHelp 32 malware, right?
Yes, yes, the same malware. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So one of the thing, guys, like the one of the question like where it was like identify address range for loop body. So actually, thing is, it's only this part over here. Okay, is only one this part of code of block. Okay, it's only this because as I told, like, okay, here it is executing, and kind of as you can see the flow from yes to if it is yes, it is going from here, the first part, the second part, the third part, and then it is kind of again going to this loop, and if it is no, it is directly exiting from this thing. Okay, so normally what is happening is only these two lines are actually the code of the body of the loop over here. So it's somewhat pretty easy to see. Just so I don't want you guys maybe confused later. So just by seeing the arrow, you can maybe tell, okay, if this part is getting counted or not. So over here, only this part is getting counted body of the loop. And also the other thing is what is happening over here, this 0D, I was checking over there. It is 0D is actually the carriage return. Carriage return is something /r/n thing. Okay, and if it is like comparing that thing with the value of the what the value is at the address that is being pointed out by the ex, if it is like kind of a carriage return, then it is kind of a jumping to some other offset value. Okay, so only count this part as the body of the loop by seeing the flow of the graph over here. Okay, let's not count this one. because we see clearly that it is jumping from here to here and then it is exiting over here. So maybe this part is kind of a sequential block. So let's see that. So over here, this part is actually the out of the body of the loop. It is kind of being executed only after that loop is getting completed. Okay, so I hope that is clear now, right? What's the body of the loop is and what's the range of that. It's clear now to both of you?
No, Pragyan, I still didn't understand why we didn't take the next block of code.
Okay, so thing is like, see, it is increase EX. It is going to this part now. It is jumping over here. As you can see from the arrow button, okay, it is comparing something over here. It is doing the comparison with 0. And if it is like uh, true, it is going inside this code block. Okay, if it is false, it is exiting from here. Okay, and if it is true, it is executing this instruction, and kind of then what is happening is like, if this condition is again true, it is executing this instruction. So what the problem is over here, by this code block, by seeing the graph value, it is very much clear that, okay, maybe we can tell this part or the body of the loop. But if you see that in the text, it is somewhat pretty much complicated actually to kind of get the gist over here where the flow is getting happening over here. Okay, so so yeah, that's the thing. Actually, this won't be counted because, see, if this condition is false, it is executing this. It is executing this part of code of block, and after this code part of block, it should actually, if this part should be counted in the body of the loop, this should be again maybe increasing the value. Okay, this should maybe there should be an arrow which is going from here again to this part, and then it is again checking the thing. If that would be the case, then we would actually count this as the body of the loop. But here that case is not there. It is not jumping from this line J0 to increasing the value or checking the value if it is comparing. It is directly exiting from the loop. Okay, so that's the reason actually we are not counting this to be body part of the loop. We are just counting this one as the body of the loop. Am I able to explain you guys? Any questions? Are you able to understand? So overall, what I'm telling is like, if this code of block, if the instruction was again kind of jumping to this code offset, where it is again like after executing this, maybe again increasing the value and then checking, then we should have count this one inside the loop. But here what is happening is like, this thing is happening and it's just exiting. It is just kind of doing so from here there's a sequential kind of instruction that is getting executed. There's nothing like where it is checking again, jumping from here to the loop. That's why the reason is like, overall we are telling, okay, this is not the body of the loop. Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Yeah, Pragyan.
Okay. Okay. Great. So now, guys, what I will do is kind of we will go to this part and kind of see the complex conditions. Till now, what I have shown you, the if-else condition and all in the for loop, while loop, everywhere the thing was very simple. It was just x less than 4 or ex comparison with 0 or with some other value. It was nothing like complex thing like, okay, it is comparing this as well as the other value. And then if both the things are true, then it is executing the block of code. And if it's a or thing, it is either checking if either this is true or this is true, and then it is like kind of a checking the block of code. So thing is like, I just want to let you know from you guys, are you comfortable with the and or gates, like how the and condition works and the or condition works?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to maybe make it much more clear once for all, so just quickly I will kind of showcase you guys, maybe implement a Python code, and it will be much more easy to explain you guys. So maybe I will write for I in range 0, 5, and then I'll see if I is equal to suppose I is greater than 2 and I is less than suppose 4, then print QWER. Okay, And here I'm just printing some hello. Okay, so what will happen over here is like this loop will always print the hello for like suppose 6 times from 0 to 5. Okay, but it will print the QWER only for the value 3. It is checking if the value of I is less than for the so when the value of I will be 3, it will check if I is greater than 2. Yes. It will check if the I is less than 4. Yes. Then only it will execute this QWER. So it will only execute it once. But if the suppose if the value is of I value is 4, so it will check if I less than greater than 2. Yes. But I is less than 4, it is false. So even if one of the condition is false, it won't execute this thing QWER. Okay, so this is what happens in kind of a AND gate where it is checking both the things. So you can see the instruction QWER was printed only once when the value of I was 3. Okay, so even if I give here like print I, so let's see that. So it is, so only for the value of when the value was 3, you can see clearly that only that time the QWER was done because both the condition was true. Now if I change this to OR, so can you guess what will happen? What the thing will be printed over here?
I is greater than 2 or I is less than 4. So it will be 3 only.
Um, actually
Okay.
it will be,
Oh,
yeah,
no, no, I got it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if I is greater than 2, then it will be for 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it will be for 0, 1, 2, 3 for I less than.
Yes, correct. So yeah, so the whole thing got changed now, and you can see, okay, that now for when the value was 0, also the QWER got executed. When the 1, it was also QWER got executed. Okay, so that's, so it will execute it actually every time now, mostly. So let's see that, because even for 2, this condition will be true and it will execute it. So even for 2, you can see the QWER has been executed
Yeah, it will get for all of them. For
for
0.
all of them, right? Yeah, yeah.
Since it
So
is OR function.
yes, so it is just checking if any of the thing is true. Okay, and the other thing is like in the AND thing, I just want to first explain that thing in a kind of a Python language so that it is somewhat easier for you to grasp that in SM language, because over there the things gets pretty complicated. And even for me, like when I'm checking the code, it takes me some time to tell you guys the answer, like what the code flow is, just to analyze the thing, how the things are happening over there. Okay, so in this Python code is actually, again, like if I do over here, so is there, I just want to know, is there like any need to kind of check the second instruction, right? Most of the time there is no need of actually checking the second instruction. If if the first instruction is true, then only we will check this second instruction. If the first condition is false, we don't even have to care of checking the second instruction, because if this thing is false, obviously we won't be kind of going inside this loop. So you got it right, what I mean to say?
Yeah, but for OR, we have to check both the conditions in any case.
Yes. Yeah. So for OR, we have to check both the condition in any case. But yeah, for the AND, we just need to see if the first condition is false, my work is done. I will not execute that block of code. If the first condition is true, then only I will check the next line of code. Okay. So now so after covering this all aspect, like how the AND behaves, how the OR behaves, and also like what thing we care in the AND thing, like only seeing the first instruction, if it is false, then only then not executing the block of code. Okay, so now covering all this aspect, let's jump to the assembly language. Okay, so what is happening is like I think the first 2 points are very clear to you, like okay, the simple expression is this one, the compound expression is this one. In the AND, actually what is happening is like when you compile the things, so there are a lot of other things that is happening by the compiler. When that, suppose you have written the code and the compiler has compiled your code to executable, so there are a lot of things that happens. So even the compiler has one of the objective, which is to kind of make a very optimized assembly code. Okay, so what it does is actually it implement a method called short circuit. Okay, so short circuit is nothing actually, but it's similar to this, where I told, okay, if this condition is kind of a false, let's not execute this one, let's not check anything after this thing. Okay, so this is actually, this method actually called short circuit, and compiler actually use this method short circuit to kind of optimize its assembly code. And we will see that when we'll kind of just quickly when we'll be going through the assembly code over here. Okay, so what is happening is and there will be certain other things that you will be feeling somewhat complicated, but I just want to let you know beforehand, before I dive into the same language, is that if you have written x less than 4, if you're checking if x less than 4, compiler will actually change it to a negative term, and you will see something, even you have written x less than 4, it will be written as x greater than equal to 4. It will just write the reverse of that in the assembly instruction. Similarly, for x greater than 1, it will be writing it as x less than equal to 1. It will just change the notation, like uh, kind of a negate, it will negate your logic over here. So we will see, and the thing is like the behavior will be actually same. Okay, the behavior will be actually same, but we will see that in the assembly language, like how these things are being done. Okay,
So,
and
Pragyan, when we say that
yes,
we are negating it, so for example, my loop condition is execute the following if the value of x is less than 4. So
yeah,
basically, the compiler will change it to execute the following if the value of x is not greater than 4 and greater than 1. Is that right?
yeah, let's see that in much more detail. So over here, uh, if this thing is there, okay, so let's do this. So suppose I have written I equal to 5, and I have written if I suppose less than 5, then kind of execute this one. Okay, and else execute, suppose second block, and let's write it first block. Suppose I have written this instruction over here. So what the compiler will do is actually to optimize the code, it will actually do something like this. If I is greater than equal to 5, execute second block, else execute first block. So actually both the things are actually same if you see. But normally, like most of the time you will see like in the assembly language, the instruction has been kind of negated, and so even here, if the I value is 3, if this for this I value is 3, so this first code block will be executed. Even for here, if the I value is 3, this first code block will be executed. You
Got it.
got it?
Yeah, but
Got it?
why are we doing this?
Yeah, so this is actually most of the time you will see like compiler does that actually, like to implement the short circuit method. So short circuit method is like kind of, it will kind of quickly check the first instruction. Okay, over here if I just go back again to the Python code, so here it will check if I is kind of uh, less than equal to 2, something like that, it will change, and it will see if it is kind of a false, it will directly jump out from that. So it's actually mainly done by the compiler only to kind of attain some kind of optimization in kind of a flow. Okay, so this is, yeah, so this is something that we don't need to worry about, but kind of like when we are seeing the thing, the flow will be actually the same. The only thing is it will be represented in a different way. That's the reason actually I just want to let you know guys before when we are seeing the block of code. So this is actually done by the compiler just for achieving some kind of optimization while kind of in the binaries and all. Okay,
Okay, got it.
so yeah, so this thing will be clear when I will be showcasing the assembly language. This will become much more clear. Okay, so let's go now over here. So let's see that. So this is one of the code of block, and if a is less than 4 and a is less than 1, so this is the AND operation, and this is the OR operation. Okay, so if a is less than 4 and a is less than 1, so what it's doing is a less than 4, so it is comparing EAX with 4, and then it is telling jump not lower, end. So jump not lower, end. So can you decode that? Can you understand and maybe explain that from first from your side? Maybe any of you? how you can, are you able to understand that without me explaining that? Can you just let me know how this code of block is working?
JNL is jump, not low.
Lower, yeah, jump not
Jump, not
lower.
lower. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it is comparing the value of EAX with 4, and it is telling, okay, jump not lower, jump not lower. So A is suppose the A value is 5, so jump not lower will tell that the value is so the value
Oh,
is 5, so it is not lower. It is not lower. If the value is A value is 5, it is not lower. So it will jump to this AND block. It will not execute these two things. Got it?
okay, got it. Basically, if the value, it's checking if the value of A is less than 4.
Yes. Yeah. Got it? Okay. And similarly over here, if A greater than 1, it is checking jump not greater than, jump not greater than. So if suppose I took the value of A as suppose 0, so 0 is not greater than, jump not greater than, and kind of to the end. So it's somewhat pretty complicated actually to judge the yes or no over here, okay, for jump not lower and jump not greater than. But I hope you got the gist, like, okay, if this thing will be like checking the value of comparing the value with 4, and if it is kind of, if this thing give yes, it will go to the end block. And similarly, so what it will do, so if this thing, if the first thing is only false, if the first thing is only kind of a actually true, so it will go to the end block. It won't check these two lines of code, okay. And suppose this comes out to be false, then it will compare this thing again. As I told, in the AND only we care about the first instruction, and then it is comparing this one, and kind of if both the things are again correct, then it will execute the this block 1 of code, that is this block, and then it will again kind of exit like start executing the sequential instruction, okay. So any questions till now from both of you? I know it's somewhat pretty complicated to like kind of make the if else instruction over here, okay. But just for like kind of a easy understanding, just tell, okay, it is comparing something with 4, and then it is like if this condition turns out to be yes, it is exiting from the loop. It is not executing that code or block. And if this condition suppose turns out no, it is comparing again the second part. If this also comparing come out to be yes, it is again exiting, else it is executing the code block 1, okay. And similarly over here for the OR case, what it is doing is if A is less than 4, it is comparing this thing. And if this thing is suppose if this thing turn out to be true, it will execute the code block because it's a OR gate, okay. And if it is kind of false, if it will again like compare this instruction, because it turns out to be false, it will compare this. And if this also turned out to be false, then it will kind of end, it will jump to this end block. If this turns out to be true, then it will kind of execute the block 1. So is it clear now, guys? Like seeing from the instruction and the values, can you kind of are you able to understand the assembly language, that what you can see when I will be going to the assembly language in the AIDA Pro? Any amount of success in that, in understanding this?
Yeah, yeah.
Correct? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just take 2 minutes more break, and I'll just kind of hold this screen over here and just let me know kind of like if you guys any question. I'll just take 2 minutes break. Okay. Okay, guys. So yeah, I think you had a good like you went through this code and were trying to understand this. So any questions in this?
No problem.
No, Pragya.
Okay, so yeah, the thing is, it's very kind of easy to kind of explain that by seeing the diagram. But when I'm speaking it, like say telling you yes or no, it's very confusing to. I understand it's very confusing to understand that. So the other thing is, you can see over here when I told negating the instruction, like lower, it is lower. It should be, but it is written as JNL. Okay, it is like negating the things. Similarly, over here is A greater than 1. It is actually, it should be JG, but it is written as JNG. Okay, so it is actually negating the instruction, and then it is kind of a jumping to this AND block. Okay, so as I told you guys beforehand, that compiler actually does a short circuit method and kind of do a negating of the whatever instruction you have written. So let's not confuse with that, like it is something that is done by the compiler, and kind of but the flow of the instruction will be similar. Okay, the thing that you are kind of thinking when you have written this part of the code of block. And for here, if you see thing is like j lower, so you can see that thing was not negated, and here j greater than, it is negated. Okay, for the or block, the second part was negated, and for the and, both the things were negated over here. Okay, so this thing you will normally see when kind of we will be you will be going through the assembly language, but may be sure that the flow of instruction will be actually exactly the same what you are thinking. Okay, so this is
Uh,
done just to kind of, yeah, please tell.
so again, can I just reiterate one thing just to
Yeah,
confirm, and you let me know if it's right.
yeah,
So the first statement, we are just comparing the value of EX with 4. So
yes,
JNL end, the second statement, JNL end basically means jump if the value of 4, jump to end, basically end the loop if the value of 4 is not lower, right?
if the value of eax is not lower, yes,
Yeah, sorry, the value of EX is not lower. Yeah, that is
yes,
what you
yeah,
mean, right?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's it, yeah. Okay, guys, so yeah, I understand it's pretty much complex, like just to see the if and else going on, but thing is, when you will see in the graph thing, when I'll see in the IDA Pro, it will be somewhat easier to understand. Okay, so now I'm exiting, going forward, and let's deep dive in how you can, like, suppose you saw something, this kind of code in the sim language. How can you tell that, okay, what's the code block for this if else? Because previously we were just seeing only one comparison, but here we are seeing two comparisons. So how to get that thing? Okay, so let's see that. Okay, so let's start the first question over here. What are the conditions for the complex conditional at 402708? So let's go to 402708 G, then I press 402708, and let's go to that. Okay, so this is the instruction over here. Okay, and let's see what the thing is happening over here, 402708. So I'm again repeating the questions one more. What are the conditions for the complex condition at 402708? Okay, and one of the thing that hints thing is like and condition invert logic, and jump to second code block, check the second instruction only if the first instruction if this thing, if the first condition was true, then kind of like it will also check if the second condition is also true. Okay, and or condition is something like where it invert only the last condition, and it will jump uh, to the second if true. Okay, so this will so these are some of the basic hints that we already saw in the and for loop. Okay, in the and or loop, that in and we have to see both the instruction if both the instructions are true, and also we have to negate, and there is also a negating of the instruction that is happening by the compiler. So these are the hints. And what are the conditions for the complex condition as 402708? So I'm going now for the 402708, and let's see if you can figure out if there is a and condition or a or condition with two values getting checked for a single variable. So I'm just stopping here for some time, and maybe just for a minute, and we'll just wait for your answer. Just see if you can see if there is any and or implementation where there are comparison of same variable with two different values. Okay, so I'm just stopping it for a minute over here. Okay, so what is happening over here now, if you see at 402708, okay, so before that there is some and operation between eax and eax. Okay, and operation is something, don't think it as the and that you saw while I was writing the if else block. Okay, just think that, okay, it is doing some AND operation over here, and if the 0 flag got set, it is jumping to 40270A. So if this condition was kind of a true kind of thing, it will jump directly outside to some code block later below, okay, 4027BA, much below, okay. And if it is like kind of a not, if it is if it is kind of a 0 flag was not set, then it is again comparing the EAX with again with another value 104H over here, okay, 104H over here. And kind of what is happening is it is again like kind of, suppose if it is jump above, it is again jumping to the outside of this loop, okay. And if both the thing were like totally fine, if both the things were totally fine, then it is actually kind of pushing a value 0 to the stack memory, okay. So here we can tell, okay, this is kind of a if block, if block, where it is comparing the EAX, checking the EAX value 2 times. It is first checking if the EAX value of AND operation is 0, and it is also comparing, the second one is if it is comparing the EX value to 104H hex value. If the both the condition is thus satisfied, then it is kind of pushing some 0 value to the stack, okay. So overall, was this clear now, you guys, to all of you? How can you see that, okay, a AND operation has been implemented where a single variable is kind of uh, compared 2 times? Is it clear now over here?
Yeah, because since the result depends on both the conditions, both the values of EX, that is why it's AND.
Yeah, so here you can see it is jumping from, it is checking, it is jumping out. If it is like fine, it is going, checking the another one also. If that is fine, then it is executing this one, else it will jump, both the things are jumping to the same location, you can see, right? 4027BA. Got it?
Yeah, little bit. We'll have
Somewhat
to.
clear, right? Somewhat clear, but thing is like to my thing is to grasp this thing in a much quicker time. Actually, thing is we have to invest much more time analyzing more malwares and kind of then kind of checking the things. So the stuff is now, because in this module 2 I'm giving an overall idea like how the instruction looks like, how the if else block look like. So what will happen to make it much more sharper, so that you respond in much more less time. So in module 3, module 4, module 5, there are a hell lot of like malware that we will be analyzing, and over there these things will be like kind of in your fingertips, where we like, okay, I saw this instruction is kind of a totally kind of a if else if block, where it is comparing 2 things, it's comparing the variable with 2 things, and then it is kind of a jumping to the other jumping outside of the loop, okay. So let's see, let's one time, I just want to see how it looks in a kind of a graph thing. So in a graph thing, you see it is much more easier to understand. You can see, right? It's fine, right? Are you able to see? It is very easy to understand from a graph perspective. If I see from it from a graph, it is exiting from this body. Here also it is exiting from the body. Else, if both the things are fine, it is actually executing this code of block. Got it? Any questions till now?
Can you relate it with the graph again? I didn't understand it with the graph.
Okay, so I am in the same graph. So if you see, I am in the same line over here, 4027BA. Okay, and this were the instruction, that this one and this one. So let's see in the graph. So see over here in the graph. This is the AND instruction. It was seeing if this value is, if the EX value is 0. Okay, if it is exiting from the green line is actually a yes, and it is exiting from that uh, block of code that needs to be executed, and else it is again checking this part of code of block, okay. And even if it is true, it is jumping out of the body of the loop. And thing is, as I told, because compiler do a negotiation, so that's why we are seeing the red lines over here. And if both the red lines are followed, then we will see this instruction, that this instruction will be getting executed. So this instruction is actually inside the if else block, if block actually. So it's somewhat clear now.
Yeah.
Got it? Saideep, you also got it?
Yeah,
Anything? Got it? So what's your feedback? Like, is it very complex to understand?
no,
Um,
again, like uh, I mean, we have to compare this unfunction with the XAMPP 0. So
Yeah.
how it is correlating, because we I I'm considering it as two separate functions, or but they're correlated, and
Yes.
XAMPP 0, or
Yes.
compare and XAMPP 0. So I have to spend some time in order to understand these things, or understand the correlation between compare and XAMPP 0, and XAMPP 0.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Anything about you telling? Other thing?
Nothing again.
That's
Like
it. Okay.
yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Okay. So thing is, because as I told, like, because the things are over here, most of the things are negated. Okay, both the things are negated. So that's why we are following the red lines over here, not the green lines. Okay, and that's where we are telling, okay, this is the code of block that is residing inside that if block. Okay. So any questions from both of you till now in this one?
no, Pragyan, we'll probably have more questions in the next class when we go back and read the whole
Yes.
thing again.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So overall, it is clear, right? Overall, like how the things are happening over here. Somewhat it is clear now. Great.
Yeah, it's clear
Okay.
now.
Okay. 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 So now let's go to another instruction 404170. Okay. So let's go to that. I'll press Z button 401470. Let's see this. Okay. So this is a line code of block, and let's see if I have 404170. 4041. Okay. 404170. 404170. Okay, this one. Okay, now to understand that in much more better way, let's quickly kind of see that in a graph button, in a graph one. So this is, so this was the instruction, and ex. Let's see where it is. So this is where I am right now, and I will now again stop for some time, and I want to know from you guys, like, what it is, like, is it a complex instruction or a simple instruction, and what is implemented over here, a AND gate or a OR gate. So I will give you time for 1 minute, and then you can, like, let me know the answer. Yeah.
I was not able to understand, Pragyan.
Okay, so see, it's very easy to get over here. So I am in this instruction, and ex. Okay, now see a total difference. If you can recall from the AND gate, it is total different over here. So this, as I told, the OR gate, the first instruction is not negated. So what is happening is, like, if this is true, you see the green line, it is executing this code of block. Okay, if it is false, then it is again checking the second instruction. It is again kind of checking, okay, if ex was 0 is fine, true, execute this code of block, or it is checking the next instruction. Now if this thing turns out to be true, actually, then it will, like, exit, because as I told, the OR gate, the second instruction is always negated. So here I will follow the, since it was negated, I will follow the green line, the red line, that is this part code block. Okay, so what is happening over here is, like, kind of, it is comparing one argument value with 14 hex value. So evp is, as I told, evp normally kind of, with, you can access any argument that was passed to a function with the evp plus something, you're getting some value, and you're comparing that argument with 14 hex value, and kind of, if it is jump above, then it is like it is exiting from this loop, and if it is false, it is executing this part of code of block. So you can see the arrow diagram is somewhat very different from the and or. In the and, this was jumping out, this was also jumping out, but here, if this is true, this is executing this code of block, and if this thing is false, it is executing this code of block. So it actually tells me the story that I told previously, that in AND gate, I will just quickly go to the diagram now, that in the AND gate, both the things are negated. But in the OR gate, the first thing is not negated, the second thing is negated. Okay, so that's where I'm repeating myself again. The first thing was not negated, so I am following the green line. It was true, it will execute. In the second one, since it was negated, I will follow the green line. That is again the same code of block. So it's actually or
And
that
for
has
the
been
red
included.
line, right? For the second one.
Yeah, for the second one, it's a red line. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because it was negated. So I will follow the red line. And so it's actually resemble a kind of a OR gate where I am comparing, I'm checking the value of EX if it is 0. And in the second step, I'm checking if any of the argument that was present pointed out the EVP is actually equal to kind of 14H, some hex values. Okay. And then I'm like uh, executing this code of block. So even this is true, this will be executed. And even if this is false, this will be executed. So is it clear now? Is it clear to both of you?
Yeah, somewhat.
Somewhat? Okay. So thing is, what I will do is I will again go back to the AND one and I will show you, just remember how this thing is looking like, the flow over here. Okay. You can see this thing is true, it is executing. Now let's go back to the old question and let's see the flow graph. So the old question was 402708. So let's go to 402708 and let's press space, and you can see now that if this condition is true, it is jumping out. If this condition is true, it is jumping out. If both the condition are false, then it is executing this instruction. So now you got a pretty much, I hope you now get a much more clear idea that here it is not jumping from here to here as it was in the OR block, but here it is checking both the condition, and then it is like kind of executing this one. If both the condition are false, then only it is executing this one. So is it clear now what I mean to say?
Yeah.
Somewhat
Yeah.
more than, got it? Okay, great. But yeah, guys, like once you are like kind of doing a practical on your own, like whatever things we are discussing over here, the things will be getting clear more better. Okay. So now let's go to the next part. So these are actually the answer, and we actually pretty much did the same thing. Okay. So now guys, there we are now going to the functions part, like how the functions are implemented in assembly instruction, and we will kind of reverse engineering a function. Okay. So let's start with that, and I will try to maybe, I'm actually hoping that I'm able to complete this function part, and this function will be actually like, once I complete this part, you will be very much confident in how to deal with any function, how you can tell, okay, this is a point where a function code is starting and this is a point where the function code is ending. Okay, after I complete this one. Okay, so I hope it's fine both for both of you that I am if I am covering this part in this class, right?
Again, is it possible to cover it in the next one? I just don't want to get confused.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
fine. Okay, fine then. So I maybe then I will stop for today.
I mean, if it's fine with you, if not, then it's not a problem. We can cover it.
It's fine, like because I know like there were a lot of things to kind of grasp over here: the if block, and block, the loop instruction, negative negation, and all that stuff.
Mm.
Then, but yeah, this thing will be very much interesting, and you will be like, once this is done, you will be kind of very much confident in like telling, okay, this is the part of block of code. This is the instruction where the function is getting started. This is where the function is exiting now. Okay, so I will take that maybe in a fresh way in the next class, maybe tomorrow again, and then we will like close this one. Okay, fine, both of you.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Fine,
stopping.
Pragya.